Welcome to Cigar City Radio Returns. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, as always, Mr. Jason Solanes.
I held my breath there for a while for that returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A long time.
A long time. Almost as long as I have to when I'm...
Here we go again.
Yeah, take that, Liz.
So let's see. Hold on. I want to make sure that we get the exact date of our last podcast.
Ooh.
Do you know?
No, man, not offhand.
Not offhand?
No.
You're supposed to know these things.
I know some things.
You don't have it in your calendar?
I obviously don't know enough. In my calendar?
Yeah.
I never use that.
Our last podcast was on Halloween, October 31st, 2019.
I'm going to insert ghost noises there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's been, 5 years? 4 years?
4.5 almost.
4.5
4
years?
years and 3 months.
Since we did a podcast. Wow. And somehow, the world's only gotten worse.
Yeah, the whole time consistently.
The whole
Is it
time.
because we left?
It's because we created this void that couldn't be filled by anything but Cigar City Radio.
Yeah, Cigar City Radio was the fabric that was keeping all of it together.
It's true. But yeah, we had a whole little pandemic situation for a while. That wasn't great.
Yeah, it was just little.
Yeah.
Just a tiny
Yeah,
thing.
just a thing that, we were a music interview podcast. So we had live musicians, live touring musicians coming through town, and then all of a sudden, no more.
No one was touring.
No one was touring.
Yeah, there was
so
nothing.
I don't want to talk too much about the pandemic because I think that's a
sad subject.
and it's been talked about enough. But I feel like, why are we starting this podcast again? And, I think first off, touring and live music, I think, is back finally fully and better than ever to a point where, there's so many shows happening, so many bands on tour, so many festivals that it just feels like the right time to bring back a podcast that celebrates live music and recorded music too. I mean, I just think things are finally in full swing,
Yeah, all the way back.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool. So, yeah, but what have we been up to for the last 4.5 years?
Changing our own lives,
Yeah. Yeah.
Changing the world around us as much as we can, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true, but fucking, it's a thing I said now.
It is a thing. It is a thing that was said.
Yeah,
It is a thing that was said. Obviously, a big change for me is I am now Randy Ojeda Esquire. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. That's a big change. In the last few years, I started an entertainment law firm with a focus on music law, obviously. And I represent independent artists, independent labels, management companies, publishing companies. And, I negotiate deals on behalf of musicians and artists. And, I'm helping musicians protect their art and, register their copyrights and their intellectual property, trademark their band names. It's pretty exciting stuff. And I didn't think that I would be able to merge my two passions of music and law into one thing, but I'm doing it.
Here you are doing the thing.
Here I am doing the thing.
Bringing translucency into transparency.
This show has always been about kind of looking behind the glass, if you will, and talking about the ins and outs of being a musician and being in the music industry. So I think there might be a little bit of a different perspective now that I'm representing artists in this capacity. I think it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot more stuff that artists need to deal with. A lot of people coming after art and a lot of people, infringing on copyrights. And there's just so much stuff that I wasn't privy to until I started practicing law, day in and day out. So I think, maybe there'll be a little bit of a different perspective on the show, just because of that.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. We'll see. We'll see how
that's
is.
a positive perspective.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we started this podcast really as a way to, I just, I don't, not to be like self-righteous about it, but I think it's, talking to interesting, creative people and hearing their stories and having those stories recorded. I think in a day where there's so many, like kind of faceless ads thrown at you all day, it's like having an actual genuine conversation with somebody and hearing their stories and their opinions on things just right from their mouth, I think is like a super important thing in this day and age.
It's the oldest tradition that's been lost. It's all become entertainment factor and not a personal factor. So getting the realness from people that sometimes are only seen as an object of our entertainment is a refreshing thing that I'm glad we were able to bring to the world, and that I'm excited we will be able to bring to the world.
Yeah, and I know how much you love oral traditions.
I pride myself on some oral traditions.
Absolutely. The oldest trick in the book, I guess. So.
Yeah.
When we stopped doing the podcast, because of the pandemic and everything, it was kind of a bleak time where I didn't really know if we were going to have live music again the way we do now. The first show back, we went to see Modest Mouse.
Hell yeah,
at Janus. And, even like, I don't remember how early into the pandemic that was, but it was, people were still wearing masks. People were still like trying to space out, but, luckily it was an outdoor venue, so we felt better about it, I guess. But, but that was a cool show, and it was like really beautiful to see people enjoying live music again. And obviously that's become, a totally normal thing again to experience shows. So my question for you, Jason, is since 2020, since the pandemic, what was your top musical moment?
Oh my God, I have to boil it down to one musical moment.
You don't have to pick one,
So it wasn't a moment. It was a way I got to experience music. So in October of 2020, I moved to a new place where I had a lake view. And it was a really serene, beautiful lake view. I could wake up in the morning and have these incredible sunrise views, and in the evening I would have a cool-looking sunset view. I would love sitting on the patio and listen to music in the cold weather because I had moved in October.
Cold for Florida, of course.
Cold for Florida. Yeah. Not negative degrees, but cold for Florida. I loved sitting out there with my headphones on, listening to music and watching this guy with a boat that was covered in LED lights do circles around the lake. It was such a simple thing, but it was such an interesting environment to become intimate with music that I fell in love with it. And I did that every night possible for years.
Which is probably a lot of nights because, like you said, this was 2020. You weren't going out as much as one would. So
no, absolutely not. It was a special time for me, and I was very grateful to have.
That's cool, man. I didn't know about that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
How about you?
I'm going with a much more recent experience, actually. It's just from a couple weeks ago. I got to see Tommy Stinson in the flesh.
Hell yeah.
And anybody that's a longtime listener of Cigar City Radio knows I'm a huge Replacements and Tommy Stinson fan. Tommy Stinson was on our 50th episode, I believe. So you can go back and listen to our interview with him. But he just recently toured through the St. Pete Shuffleboard Club, which I had never been to. And apparently it's been there for 100 years.
I didn't know that it existed.
Yeah, it is the largest shuffleboard club in America, I want to say. Definitely in Florida, but
it's kind of fitting that it's in St. Pete.
Absolutely. And it was just like a surreal experience because it was set up in like just not a very big room with chairs, and Liz and I sat in the very front row. So like Tommy was like right in front of me, and I mean like right in front of me, but behind him out the window there's people playing shuffleboard, so it's like, it's a weird to see a concert
cool thing.
And also kind of see shuffleboard being played. But it was such an awesome show. and Tommy played for like a couple hours, I want to say, and played tons of new stuff, some old hits. It was a really great set from him. And after the show, I actually got to talk to him a little bit, and we took a picture. And I mentioned to him, I was like, hey, I doubt you remember me, but we interviewed you a few years ago for our podcast in Clearwater and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah. Something about a cigar? I'm like, yeah, you got it, dude.
Yeah, that's about right.
Something about a cigar.
Nice.
So it was cool to me that, like, Tommy Stinson at least vaguely remembered meeting me.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, like a huge musical moment. And also one of those, we've been talking about bringing the podcast back for years now, honestly. And, hearing Tommy Stinson remember something about a cigar, the light bulb went off again in my head. And, I was like, we gotta bring this podcast back.
Yeah.
People have been telling me about it, asking me about it. When are we going to do more episodes? When are we coming back? And, it was really humbling also to see when we looked at the stats, which we hadn't, why would we look at the stats? So it's like, it's been years since I looked at the stats. People were still downloading our old episodes and still listening to archived content. And that's really amazing. The nude party episode is like one of the most popular episodes.
That one's crushing it.
Super popular. Our last episode with Mystery Skulls was a very popular one. We have this whole library of content that I think, some of it has not aged as well as I would have liked, but a lot of it I think has aged really well and is kind of evergreen content. And I think we like really found a lot of great artists to come and talk. And even our episodes with people outside of the music world, like our episode with John Henson, the NBA player, our Ian Beckles, the episode with Andy Hastings,
Don Barco.
Yeah, Don Barco. People that aren't with us anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And we were able to record and really share their stories in a medium that, hopefully, unless the servers explode, are going to be, online for forever, At least that's what Libsyn tells us. Shout out Libsyn.
Hell yeah. All day Libsyn.
Yeah, cut the check, Libsyn.
Give us that cash.
Yeah. It's a special thing, and I'm really excited for what's next. I'm really excited to dive back in and meet people again. That's my favorite part of the podcast, is being able to connect with so many cool musicians and people that I really respect.
Yeah, and even when it was a musician that I didn't know about, like prior to the podcast or like prior to a few weeks before the podcast, we'd run into some of these people, and I'd be like, I can't believe that I just don't know every musician. Like, I want to listen to all of them. It invigorated me to listen to more and more music.
Yeah.
Like Mary Lattimore with the harp. I was like, man, I never thought I'd meet someone that played the harp. I mean, if I did, I wouldn't have known it.
Yeah, and you met the harpist. Like, Mary Lattimore is like, she's the
bomb.
world class.
Yeah,
that's totally cool. I forgot about that episode. So definitely. If you're listening to this now, please go back through the old episodes. We have 109 of them, I think was the final count. So listen to all those, and we're going to be bringing you brand new content pretty much right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Right off the rip.
Yeah, we don't know with what frequency yet,
but we hope to get back into a groove and do it. I wish we could name who's going to be coming up next, which guests are coming up, but I don't like to jinx it, because anything can happen and people cancel and stuff happens. Life gets in the way. But we have some really exciting episodes planned and some really great interviews on the horizon. Definitely keep an eye out for future stuff. Jason, what are you most excited about the return?
The return of Cigar City Radio.
Cigar City Radio returns.
Yeah, the returns. The concerts, honestly. Like I always loved interviewing people with you, but my favorite ones were immediately preceding a concert. The excitement that some of the artists had, or like whatever energy they had going on. Sometimes it'd surprise you. Sometimes it'd be like really energetic and happy about what's going on. Sometimes it's a little bit road worn and tired. And I think both of those energies from an artist are something that people don't usually get to witness, and getting to witness that from a touring musician is always pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, very interesting. You can definitely tell when people have been on the road a while.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Like, you can definitely tell, and that's not knocking anybody. I mean, I would be a zombie if I was on the road as long as some of these artists.
It's the reality of it,
you know.
Yeah,
but still, really cool that people are willing to give their time to talk to us and share their stories with us. So that's always cool, and hopefully we'll be talking about 100 more episodes in no time.
I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah,
that's how it worked last time. I feel like it just snapped by real quick.
Yeah. All of a sudden, 100 episodes. So, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for bearing with us. If you're an OG Cigar City Radio listener, then thank you for sticking with us for all these years that we've been gone and for coming back and listening. And if you're a brand new listener, welcome to the show. We've got some great content, a lot of fun. Hit us up on all the socials. We're at Cigar City Radio. Let us know who you want to see on the show. Even if it's yourself, if you want to come on the show, hit us up. Hit us up.
It doesn't hurt.
We're accessible.
We're easy.
Yeah, we're please easy. Oh, let me tell you about easy. Yeah.
So if someone was to want to go see a concert in the Tampa Bay area, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete, Sarasota, what venue do you enjoy the most for a concert?
Well, come on, man. You can't put me on the spot like that.
Well, I have to.
Tom would kill me if I don't say Crowbar.
But
I might say Crowbar, honestly. Not lying. Not lying. Honestly, we're fortunate to have all the venues that we have, and I think some of them we're losing some venues. Some places are closing, and that's unfortunate, but as long as people keep going out and seeing shows and supporting the scene, hopefully, the venues that we do have will stick around as long as they can. So, that's a cop-out answer, Jason. I'm not picking a favorite. Crowbar. But yeah, just go out and support the scene. Go see lots of venues, go to some DIY spots, go to some house shows, I don't want to shout out any house shows because I don't want them to get shut down, but there are some good ones in the area.
Yeah.
We've been to some cool house shows over the last couple of years that have been super memorable. Felt very very Austin like,
very
some
Austin.
Venues that were like very very cool in that sense. So everybody in the scene, just keep doing your thing, keep making stuff happen. Reach out to Cigar City Radio and let's make some content, friends.
Yeah, let's make some art.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd call the podcast art necessarily, but
you're right.
But it's the big C, it's the content, and we need it, and we need more of it. So we're gonna make big C's all over the place. This is blah blah blah, and this is blah blah blah. You're listening to blah blah blah.
I feel like we should just start it fresh, right?